Okay, we are live on Mother's Day.
I
Happy
need
Mother's Day,
Happy
everyone.
Mother's Day, everybody. I need a Mother's Day drink.
You need a drink. Let me tell you, we are still in Lisbon, Portugal. Well, we're not in Lisbon, actually. We're in a suburb of Lisbon at some friend's house because my lovely husband went to a wine tasting and I followed him around. So he talking about he need a Mother's Day drink, but he's been drinking that wine all day long. So we are going to talk to moms today, right?
Yeah.
Because we have found that not just moms, but women tend to be the nurturers. We tend to be the ones who are asked to sacrifice a lot for the good of others. And so today on Mother's Day, we're going to talk to some women who have had to make hard choices in order to live the life of their dreams, the life the way they wanted to live it. And sometimes other folks are not going to be happy with that.
No, they aren't.
So thankfully you supported me when I had to make those hard decisions, and thankfully you were the one saying, "No, we moving now. We got to get up out of here
Always.
before that next election, and they don't let us leave."
Oh, hell no. I wasn't going to get caught. No.
So let us introduce ourselves. Hey, y'all, my name is Halisi.
And I'm Rick. Welcome to our Black Utopia.
On our channel, we talk about travel, we talk about money and retiring abroad as we are building generational wealth. But first, if you're new to our channel, then you might not know about 6.5 years ago now, I'm about to say 7 years because we have been.
It's coming up.
7 years because we've been on YouTube for a year and a month and a half now. Thank you. Thanks all who are watching. So about 7 years ago, we got a wake-up call as we were getting close to retirement age. We looked at our money. It was looking funny.
Crazy.
No, it was looking bad. It was looking bad. And we were making entirely too much money not to have more saved. So we were not ready for retirement at all. But about 3.5, 4 years ago, we got our financial act together and we went from negative 22,000 to over 800,000 in net worth. Today, it's over $1 million in net worth. And let me tell you guys, we never made six figures. So if we can do it, you certainly can do it too.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So if any of that sounds interesting to you, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you know every time we go live.
Give it a thumbs up.
Yes, if you find this information useful, please give it a thumbs up. We've got some guests for you today that are going to come on and tell you about the tough decisions that they've had to make, how they walked through that, both emotionally, psychologically, and walked their loved ones through it, because these women are living their best lives. So we're going to go with my oldest friend on here now. She's not old in age, but I have known her the longest out of all of these three people, because when we only had 300 or 400 subscribers, this YouTube star said, "Yes, I will collaborate with you." And because of that, she will always, always, always have a soft place in our heart.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Now we're at 20,000 plus subscribers. And thank you guys so much. I'm humbled. I'm getting tears in my eyes because I'm so full. I feel so blessed. And I mean, we had a glorious day. It was a beautiful day. We were listening to jazz, we're doing wine tasting. And this is so much more than I ever could have imagined for my life. And the lady that we're about to bring on is partially responsible for that, because I thought we had to have a lot more money to be able to do this.
Right.
And what we learned from her and some other folks helped us see that we could do it with what we had. So without further ado, someone I consider a friend. Hey, Adelia.
Hey, Adelia.
She is Picky Girl Travels the World. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself, and then we're going to get started.
Goodness. Hey, y'all. As they mentioned, my name is Adelia Borshade. Most folks know me as Picky Girl Travels the World. I am a financial educator, relocation specialist who has been living abroad for almost 7 years. I think, if I'm doing the math right. And really, I have kind of made it my life's work to help Black women live the life of their dreams. And finances are a big part of that, which is why that's what I do mainly. So I'm very, very happy to be here.
Thank
I don't
Thank
know
you
what else
so
to
much
say.
for being here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, we want to hear like the tough decisions that you had to make because if I remember correctly, the first time that you moved abroad, your youngest was still in school and all of that. I don't know what, any other family members or close friends were saying or your oldest daughter was saying, but, I know what you did.
Um, I let's see. I left the US in 2016, and my divorce was finalized at the beginning of 2015. I had wanted to go abroad even when I was married. I kind of toyed with that idea and threw it out there to see if oh boy was going to be down with that or not, but regardless of that, the marriage came to an end. And I've said this online before that for me, that was like my second chance at life. And so I said, I will absolutely do the things I want to do. Like, I don't want to leave this earth and say, oh, I wish I had done this.
Mm,
I could have done that. And so that meant revisiting how and when I could move abroad. So yes, my youngest was a freshman in high school because I initially thought about, okay, she's a freshman in high school, 3 more years. I will leave when she graduates. That I thought made the most sense. Except I didn't really want to be in the US. And this was also at a time, I don't know. I say this all the time that, when a woman turns 40, you know, fabulous things happen there. Something really magical happens. And not only did I leave a relationship that was not serving me, I was making some changes in my professional life because that was not serving me either. And so when you start to make those kind of changes in your life, you can't just stop halfway or put things on hold. So I originally thought, okay, 3 years, when she's in college, that's when I will leave. And then I looked around and I was like, I don't want to be here. And this was pre election cycle 2016. So that really was not a motivator. Um, my car was paid off, my lease was coming up. I knew that the job I had, I would be leaving, even if that meant I had to go work at Starbucks. So, if I
Wow.
was willing to shake up my life that much, was there that much difference in going abroad? And so I talked to my then, she was 14 or 15, and said, like, this is what I want to do. Now, my children always knew me as a traveler. So they were not surprised. And anybody who really knew me was kind of like, surprised it took this long.
Ah,
And I offered her, I said, hey, I'd like for you to come with me. If there is a particular part of the world that you would like I can focus my job search there. And she was like, no, go do your thing, whatever. So I moved forward with the thought that she would not be coming with me,
hmm.
which, for a lot of folks is kind of like gasp inducing. Like, you would leave your child and,
Yeah.
she got a daddy. I'm not the only person that made that kid. She ended up changing her mind because I kind of pitched it to her. I was like, look, think of it as study abroad. You could
Right.
come with me for a year, learn a foreign language, and then you can come back and continue on and do your thing in Texas. And she came with me. And after I had already accepted a job, and maybe had I known she was coming, I may not have taken that particular job in that particular country, because it's not a place. When you think when I talk to moms, they're like, oh, or women in general, they're like, I want to move to a safe country. This would not have been labeled as such.
mm,
but she had the time of her life.
Yeah.
She really
Wow.
did.
So, was there, you said they were not surprised. When you were doing traveling prior to this, was the whole family going? And where were you going? Or was it, or were you still flying solo?
There had been a few big family trips. Like my girls are 6 years apart. So when they were 5 and 11, we went to Egypt, um,
Wow.
and France. They had been to the border of Mexico,
Okay.
because when you're young and you don't have money, that's an easy way.
Yep.
And they travel a few places in the US, and then on either on my own or with friends, I'd been kind of everywhere. I'd been to Europe, I'd been to like Costa Rica, China, that sort of thing. I didn't really get into solo travel that was not work related probably until like 2013, because I didn't quite get that it was possible. I never had the
Mm,
hang up of I can't go by myself.
Mhm.
It's
right.
just that most of the vacation packages were always double
Double.
occupancy,
Yep.
or whatever deal I found was double occupancy. So it was always like, who can I find that can go with me for this?
Right.
Once I figured out that, like, oh, I can book my own flight and hotel, then it was done.
It was
Then
all
I was
over.
a little bit of everywhere.
Mm.
So old boy wasn't into travel.
No, that's one of those things that I was like, because when you say I like to travel and other people say I like to travel, I have learned they don't always mean
Always
the
mean the
same
same
thing.
thing.
Right.
And for him, it was like, oh, we can go to a resort in Jamaica. And I
And
was
all
like, well,
inclusive and never leave.
what about like Europe? And he had no interest in going, and I was like, "Huh, we're really different people." I mean, there were other things that spell
Right,
that
right,
out,
right.
but that was one that stood out to me. So, I always envisioned a life where I was traveling different places, like exploring and going, and no, that was not the kind of travel he was into.
Mm.
Was there a push and pull with the relationships in your life when you made that move, or was making the decision? What were
Yeah,
you going to
I was going to ask, what kind of did you get any
resistance?
resistance from family members or friends saying, "Girl,
Are
you
you
crazy"?
crazy? Close friends knew her, so
Well, yeah, a lot of people
Yeah.
knew you traveled, but
Um, I'm trying to think if I suspect there were people who said that, but did not say it to my
my
face.
face.
okay,
I
okay,
suspect there were conversations about like, "Ooh, have y'all seen what Adelia's talking about doing?" But those people did not say anything to my face. My oldest, when I told her I was moving to Honduras, she said, "You mean Mexico?" And as a geography teacher, I cringed because I was like, "How are you, my child?" And I was like, "No, Honduras." And she was like, "Yeah, like Mexico." No. And
They speak
so,
Spanish.
yeah, like that's pretty much all she got. Um, she she was kind of like, "Oh, okay." Like, it was not a big deal to her. My friends, my cousin, they all kind of were like, "Yeah, we this doesn't shock us. We assumed you would do this at some point." But like I said, I imagine that there were some conversations had when I was not around, because I
Mhm.
know on the outside it looked really crazy.
And then, so now your oldest has kids.
Yes.
Where grandmama at?
Um all I keep trying to
Where's my
explain.
built-in babysitter?
Oh, no, we had a chat somewhere between kid number 1 and kid number 2, and I was like, "Hey, you didn't talk to me. You didn't consult me when you decided to start having children. Because if you had, I would have made it very clear to you what kind of, I don't even like to use the word grandma, but like what kind of grandma situation this was going to be and what it was not going to be. So this is not, I wanted to make sure she understood this was not about me trying to be away from her and her kids. Like, had I stayed in the US, I was not going to be the built-in babysitter kind of grandma. I was going to be out doing my own thing anyway.
Mm.
So, the difference is now we're a 2-hour flight away from each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So she didn't have her little feelings hurt.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
That's good. That's good. Because sometimes our kids have certain expectations.
Yeah,
right?
they do. They
Right.
do. But we didn't pick up a whole lot of craziness or anything. It was okay.
Well, because they had moved away.
Yeah, everybody left. And it was like just us in Denver, and it's why are we
still
staying?
here?
But there is sometimes that expectation that, oh yeah, we can, as the kids, we can go out and do our own thing, and you're supposed to stay here and maintain the family home and all of that.
Right.
And my attitude was very much like, you can always come wherever I am.
Right.
But I was beyond the point of putting my life on hold for other people.
That right there. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
I said I was beyond the point of putting my life on hold for other people.
Because
I don't
tomorrow's
do
not
that
promised.
anymore.
Right?
No. And that's what too many people did. And I was guilty of it. Always something was someday. There was some undefined point in the future. And I looked around and thought, what if this was it? What if I died tomorrow? Is this the life I have lived up until this point? Is this what I wanted? Am I happy with what I would leave behind, the legacy I would leave behind? And the answer was no. So I decided to start to fix that.
Yeah. 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 And that's what we have to do. We have to take ownership, and we get one chance at this thing.
Yeah. That's it.
We get one chance at this thing. All right. I'm going to bring someone else up. Y'all, if you have questions for Miss Picky Girl Travels the World, she's going to stick around for a little bit, but we're going to talk to Yolanda. Let me see. Let me just make sure we have. Let me see if anybody's asked any questions yet. Happy Mother's Day, Adelia. You have given a lot for your babies, whether they realize it or not. Hopefully they do. And for all of your YouTube babies.
Yes. Happy Mother's Day.
Well, thank you. And happy Mother's Day to you, Halisi.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Has my child called me? Now it's still early there. So let's see, it's 1:30, but he running out of time. He running out of time. So my mom already called me from California and had her little feelings hurt because I hadn't called her yet. But all I can say is, oh, you up already? Oh, I lost track of time. That 8 hours, I wasn't doing the math right. I love you, mommy. So, all right. I don't see any questions. So we are going to take you offline for a sec. And we are going to bring up Yolanda. Thank you. Hey, Yolanda. Oh, you changed your background and got all fancy on us.
Right. Okay. I had to represent where I'm at.
Okay. So tell us where you're at and introduce yourself.
So I am Yolanda. My YouTube and Instagram is Locating Cozy. That's what I'm all about. Right now, I am in Spain. I'm in Zaragoza, Spain, which I definitely have to do a vlog because I feel like people are sleeping on Zaragoza for various reasons. But anyways, my daughter moved here in 2016 to teach English, and my worst nightmare at the time, which has turned into a wonderful blessing, is that like within 2 months, she met her then boyfriend. Now they're married, and they have my one and only grandchild here, which you all met.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just 2023 is my year of discovery. It was a long way to get to this point, but I'm so glad I'm here as far as just being okay with myself and giving myself permission to discover how I want my life to go, to really just kind of discover and make my own decisions and not be bound to you have to work this 9 to 5 in the office and live a certain way and be a certain type of woman forever. No. Okay.
So what did that evolution look like? That from
So,
doing what was expected, doing
mhm.
whether it was other people's expectations or the expectations we put on ourselves based upon, our culture in America, right? And what it's supposed to look like when we have made it, or whatever that is in our head, to where you are today. So are you living in Spain?
Not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
Right now,
All right.
I'm here. I got here in April, and I'm here until June 14th, mid June. So
Okay.
it's just, yeah, 2 months, which seems like forever, but yeah, just 2 months. I've done some traveling in between while here. But now I actually have a goal date as to when I'm going to return to actually move to Madrid. So
Awesome.
I'm really excited about that. We actually my daughter and I actually met with a Spanish attorney the week after we got back from Lisbon. We
Okay.
had a meeting with him and he explained a lot. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing this. It's done. Okay.
Yay. Okay. Let's talk about the evolution in your thought
Yeah.
process.
So what happened was, I want to say pretty much I've always had the support, at least of my children.
Okay.
Just yeah,
Good.
that's just, I
Good.
have 3 wonderful daughters and they've always just been supportive. Actually, it was them and their need for travel that actually even kind of piqued my curiosity, because I was scared to fly. I was just like, let me just work and keep my head down, and if I can, like, go someplace like within Texas on vacation, or maybe go to Disneyland or something, that would be great. Yeah, no. But my daughters have always been like travelers. My youngest daughter, one of her many trips, her best friends from Colombia, she went to Colombia with her once, and then at one point she went to Cuba with her class.
Wow.
My oldest daughter had a trip where there was supposed to be a group of women going, and it came down to just her going, and she went to Abu Dhabi and Dubai by herself. So they are
Wow.
travelers, at young ages. And so I actually went to college late in life. I was in my 40s when I went to college, and I was graduating in 2016. And my daughters, knowing that I don't like to fly, got me luggage for Christmas 2015 and said, you need to get your passport. I'm like, for
Yes.
what? For what? So they gifted me a girls' trip with them to Costa Rica.
Okay.
And that's when the bug hit me a little bit. I didn't know it at the time. That's when the bug hit me a little bit. So one of the things is that when I was going to college, and during this time, I was taking care of an ailing parent. Um, and I remember, like, throughout all this struggle, because I want to back up and just say also, I was poor. I was a single mother, poor, like lights being cut off probably like once a quarter, poor.
Okay.
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 So, but I remember just throughout when I was in college, and just even helping to take care of my ailing father at the time. I just remember reading, and it was probably like some YouTube something that I was reading, or saw some vlogs about people working remotely. And I was like, wow, that just seems so cool. They're working remote and they're
Yeah.
living this life that really is just a big lie. Because when you're working and living remote, you're not always like vacationing 24/7 and just sitting on the beach. Learned that. Anyways, but I remember just speaking and it was just between me and God. I was just saying, I would love to be able to do that. That was it. Not
Yeah.
knowing that what I was actually doing already, because
Mhm.
some things that I was already doing, I didn't know were putting into motion this opportunity for
Hmm.
me to be able to actually work remote completely. And on top of that, eventually live someplace else if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Um, so I was just going through the basics, and just surviving and finishing school, and once I actually got my 2-year degree immediately at the company that I was at, I I talked to my manager and I was promoted. And it wasn't, let me just say this, it wasn't just because I got my degree, because a degree wasn't required of that, but it was my outgoing personality also. But I got this job as a supervisor, which I stayed there, and learned a lot and appreciated that opportunity. And then I had a software company reach out to me for what I do, and they had a position. I think it was in Austin at the time, and I was like, well, I could go to Austin. And something happened. Anyways, it didn't come through. And then like 2 months later, they reached out to me again and said, we actually have an office in Houston. We need you to be the face of accounting in Houston. And I was like, okay. So I went with that opportunity. It was supposed to be an office. I was supposed to be the face of the accounting team in the Houston office, because it was all sales and IT there.
Right.
And within a month of me being there, because the rest of the accounting team was in Austin, and within a month, I noticed that I would come in and sit in this like row of 10 cubicles and not see anyone all day long. The team that I was managing was all remote globally, like in the Philippines, the Ukraine, Nicaragua, Jamaica. So my team that I was literally managing was global anyways, but they wanted me to be the face of the accounting team in the Houston office. And finally, I just went to my manager and I was like, why am I here? It doesn't, like, I could literally be doing this at home. I'm not seeing anybody. There was like
face
one other
face.
person. So anyways, yeah. And so we had a conversation, and initially he was like, well, you can work, 2 days a week at home. And I was like, okay. You're not gonna see me anyways. Okay. So, and I wasn't just trying to be defiant, I just want to explain that, but I just realized, like, hey, you see my production level. So anyways, all that to say, that current manager actually left and went to another job, and the manager that took over, I just told him flat out, I was like, why do I have to come into the office? And from then on, I was working remote.
Wow.
I was just, I was just working remote. So fast forward, I had another parent that was going through some ailing situations. And during that time, I had gone like to go visit my daughter in Spain. And I want to say this. So at the time, my daughter and her then boyfriend were living in a 1-bedroom small. So I couldn't stay with them the whole time. So, I got a little Airbnb down the street. Mm-hmm. And I would leave their place at 11 o'clock. This is in Zaragoza, Spain. I would leave their house at 11 o'clock at night, and I had to walk down a little dark alley. The Airbnb was like maybe 7 minutes away. Walking down a little back alley in the middle of the night in Zaragoza, I never felt so safe. Okay. It was just game changing as far as that experience of visiting. And I'm like, okay, why do I not feel like I need to, like, I'm okay with not having a gun on me or some kind of mace with me,
That right there. It's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
It makes a difference.
That was just my first taste of this mental freedom that I didn't even know that I didn't have.
Right.
So yeah, that was amazing. But so yes, I was visiting, family there. And again, I've been working, remote, proving, as far as being able to manage my team remotely and me working remote. This was before the pandemic. This was like 2019, 2018. So with all that, I just remember after my stepfather passed away in February 2020, and I was like, there's a grief, but there's also like I need to think about myself. I hadn't been to the doctor in like that whole year that I was like, helping my mom with my stepfather, and I hadn't been taking care of myself. And I was like, you need to really look at what you're doing. And I thought that I was going to take a break and go see my daughter, and of course everything shut down. But during that time, I had, life was happening. I was able to go see my daughter in 2021. She was pregnant. I was super excited. And I literally told my job, because my daughter had a high-risk pregnancy initially. And so I told my job, it's like, so I'm going to be going to Spain for 6 months. It wasn't a question. I mean, I know I'm good at my job. So, and plus my team is all remote anyway. So I just told them I have to go. I have to be with my daughter for 6 months. And I think that there was a little pause. And I think that and plus we were a global company. So, yeah, they were like 6 months. I was like, yeah, 6 months. I want to be there, before she has the baby, everything. One of the things that caught me when I had my first meeting with my two executives while my first meeting while I was in Spain was, he was like, well, why are we freezing up? What's wrong with all the internet connections there? I have concerns about you being here, like not close. And I'm like, we have meetings with people in villages that work for us via Upwork. Are you serious? Do you think that I'm in some third world country right now? That it's like sometimes it just freezes up. So yeah, his perception was that, like, I guess he wanted to say that maybe he thought I couldn't do my job because I wasn't in the United States, which proved him wrong greatly. But that was one of the
it was a power
moments
trip.
where,
It was a power trip.
exactly. So after all that, my daughter had the baby. It was a beautiful experience. I'm just living and grooving. And I had moved to Dallas for a relationship that ended up not working out. But again, let me just say this. I moved for the first time in my life to for the pursuit of a possible relationship. Now, I've been working remote. I am very, very, I'm okay financially. There was more concern about me moving to Dallas, 4 hours away from where I initially lived and where I grew up at, because they were like, well, what are you going to do if the relationship ends? I'm like, I will be just fine. I'm not taking my job. I mean, my job comes with me. I work remote. I'm not quitting my job for anybody. I have my own things. If it doesn't work out, I'll be okay.
Pack up and
But
leave.
there was just such great concern, and things did not work out with us, and everything was fine. It wasn't like anything traumatic, but everything was fine. But the level of concern about me, I'm 53 years old. Everybody's grown. I am very happy. But because I decided to do that, that was extremely concerning for everybody. You're doing something for a relationship? Yeah. Sure, why not? So with that, what happened was I ended up getting my own apartment while I was in Dallas. And I said, well, I'm going to give Dallas a try and just check it out just for the experience, someplace else to live. Well, when my lease was coming up due, in the US now, usually you have to give 2 months notice.
Right.
So started looking around. I was like, okay, let me see. And just looking, I couldn't decide if I was going to stay in Dallas or if I was going to move back to Houston. And I'm just looking at apartments and like, I don't want to pay $2,000 a month rent. I just don't want to anymore. And I like, living in a very nice apartment, with all the great amenities, but I don't want to anymore. So that's when I had my epiphany that, well, you know what? You're not, it's just you, yourself, and you and your dog and your cat. And well, at the time my cat had just passed away, but I was like, you can actually just kind of see where you want to go. My biggest guilt was actually my dog. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my dog if I take this year of 2023 off to go and try to check things out. So I had everything kind of built up in my brain about, I want to do this. This I can do. I can give up my apartment and let me just figure things out. And that's when I went on YouTube and just put in Black woman expat Mexico. That was it. And then all the world opened up. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, I had no idea that there were so many people like you and Stephanie Perry and Rashida and Exodus Summit and Adelia. I did not know. And I just felt like it was something mentally. I was just saying to God, just show me. It wasn't like, it wasn't like, it was a very subtle like prayer of just show me how. I know I want to do this. I don't know what that pathway looks like. Just show me. And that's when everything changed. My intention was that I was going to be taking my job on the road with me in 2023. I was like, I knew I wanted to go to Mexico for 6 months. I knew I wanted to come back here to Spain to visit with my daughter and check out Portugal and just to see like what fits me, what country, what state, what area really speaks to me. I knew it was getting out the country. I knew I wasn't going to be driving around the US in a minivan. That just wasn't happening. That's just not for me.
Yeah, not for everybody.
Yeah. So I found the Exodus Summit. I, just dug, went deep down in there and just like got all the information and watched all the vlogs. And then I came across your vlogs also about, fire and financial independence. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And I attended the Exodus Summit. And then 2 days later, again, I thought I was taking my job with me. 2 days later, I was in a meeting that ended up an impromptu meeting with my execs that ended up being 3 hours. And at 2 hours and 53 minutes, I said, I need to go take my medication. Because I was working down in my apartment lobby, and my medication was upstairs in my apartment. And I said, I need to get off this call now. I have got to go take my medication. To which one of the execs, I'm not going to name their titles or whatever, but one of the execs says, oh, okay. But hold on, before you hang up, let's go ahead and look at those numbers really fast. And can you open that file up really fast and go ahead and plug those numbers in? And actually go ahead and copy and paste. And I was like, oh, they don't care if I drop dead right here.
No.
I was just floored. And so that was the point when I had to say, no. And let me just back up. In my mind, through this, because there were things that were leading up to it, I kept saying, just quit this job, girl, just quit. But something in me said, don't quit your job. Don't do it like that. So after that, I was having this thing just going on in my head, like, don't quit your job. Don't do it. Don't do it. You know you want to, but there's value in doing it another way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I said to execs 1 and 2, and I said, I'm getting off this phone now, I have to go take my medication, I immediately contacted my medical provider, and then I contacted human resource, and I said, I'm going on FMLA right now. So with that, again, great support from my daughters. You know, I told them, I was like, this is what I've just done. I thought that I was going to, you know, everything just changed. I'll just say that. But with that also, and the thing was, I'm sorry, just FYI, the thing was, the 2 days before that weekend, I was planning on going to Spain to visit my daughter again for my granddaughter's first birthday. So I had already been planning to be gone for a month.
Right.
And I was like, okay, all right, wait a minute. I need to make sure my finances are in order. Mm-hmm. And I still left that Saturday and went to go visit. It was traumatizing.
Scary? I was about to say,
yes.
Was it scary? But you did it
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Yes, absolutely. I've been working since I was 15 years old. I'm 53 now. Yeah, it was scary just to be like, no, I'm going to put myself first. I'm going to put my health first. I had, been getting anxiety attacks. Just my medical provider was actually ready to up the medication that I was on. It was I got a prescription of 15 pills, and they would last me a year because I would just take them as needed. Now my doctor was trying to put me on some medication for anxiety that I was going to have to take every day. I was like, no.
Every day.
We're not doing that.
Okay, so they're dosing you so that you can do your job because these folks are on your nerves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Driving you crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. You remember those days?
My doctor did the same with me. She would prescribe 15 pills, and mostly of my anxiety came from flying.
But he loves to travel.
But I love to travel. And, every year she'd make sure that I had my 15 pills ready for me. Because she didn't want to give me more than that because she said, well, they can be addicted.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah. But if it's getting to the point where your doctor is seeing the result in your body, right? And so, maybe you need to be taking these every day.
But I did also realize that I was taking a little bit more when I wasn't even traveling, but just going to work in work situations, dealing with clients and just putting up with craziness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a question. They want to know, was there a cultural adjustment? How has the cultural adjustment been with your new son-in-law?
Oh, my son-in-law is absolutely wonderful. He's actually from Colombia. So he didn't speak much English when my daughter and he met. My daughter actually was fluent in Spanish, even though there was not a requirement for her to teach English here. But there was a different type of Spanish. So you had Texas Spanish, okay, and then you have Spain Spanish, and then he was from Colombia Spanish. So there was an adjustment, but overall, my son-in-law is absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I couldn't ask for a better son-in-law. He's my favorite. He's my only son-in-law, but I say he's my favorite son-in-law. Yeah.
So Tina wants to know, do you need a degree to secure a job abroad? Tina, I can't say that Yolanda is an expert in this. We did do a show 2 weeks ago. Yes, 2 weeks ago, right, with Carla, who actually specializes in jobs abroad. But you're saying you did not need this degree to get.
Oh no! So first of all, there's a difference between getting a job abroad, or I don't know if she's speaking about my daughter coming over here to teach.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but okay. So, well, let me just answer both then. First of all, in order to teach abroad, like the English, I don't think that you actually have to. Anybody can do that. It's just different programs. What happens is whenever I say the kids, when they're getting ready to graduate college, and my daughter's minor was in Spanish, they came in trying to recruit, students that were getting ready to graduate to come over and teach, and they don't really get to pick. Well, with this particular program that she was in, you don't get to pick which city in Spain or wherever that you're going to teach.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So so she just kind of landed in Zaragoza and ended up loving it.
Where is Zaragoza in relationship to Madrid?
Zaragoza is about halfway in between Barcelona and Madrid.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So Yolanda wants to know what draws you to Madrid. It's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe.
It's a vibe.
Energy.
It is. So I first came to Barcelona back in 2018. Just for me, was not digging Barcelona. It was just too. I've never been to New York, but for me, it just seemed like too much. It seemed like if I was in New York, that's how. It was just so busy. It was just crazy. I've been to the first time I went to Madrid by myself. It was Thanksgiving 2021. I was trying to give my daughter a break and them a break after having the baby, and just stepped away for Thanksgiving. I'm going to Madrid by myself. It just spoke to me. It's just yes, there's tourist areas, but I'm the type that I'm going to go out and find things. I'm going to go online and find different things to do, whether it's via Airbnb experiences or just like going on Facebook to see what's happening. I joined Melanin in Madrid. Yeah, it's a whole. We did a picnic about a month or so ago. It was probably about a good 75 Black people just at Retiro Park. It was just beautiful. Oh my goodness. Doing the slides and the Harlem Shuffle, and baby, it was just a beautiful thing. But not just that. I mean, that's a beautiful experience, but I'm the type that I can just step out and find things to do, and I'm going to go for the food experiences. And Madrid just spoke to me. So and let me just say that I have been working on the idea of trying to possibly move here, first under the digital nomad thing, which there was, especially with me transitioning out of this job and going into something else, just working on some things. But when we met with the attorney last week, I have another opportunity because my son-in-law is Spanish national. Okay. He has Spanish citizenship. So I have some other options that I'm working on. But one of the things I said was, I don't want to have to live with my daughter. I'm here visiting. Right. Love them dearly. Love hanging out with my granddaughter, and her just coming in here and calling, and well, she's not calling me Lolly yet, but that's she's my lollipop. I'm her Lolly. But I love that. But also, I'm a single woman. Okay. And Zaragoza is not hidden when it comes to meeting men. So for me, I told the attorney, I was like, so I can't get an apartment in Madrid. I can have my own place in Madrid. He's like, well, yes. He's like, you just don't. Yeah. He explained some things. And I was like, okay, because I really do. I can find wonderful social things to do here in Zaragoza also. But Madrid just speaks to me because I can get out. I can meet people from the diversity is out there. Of course, it's not as pronounced as it is in Lisbon. Yeah. I get that. But yeah. Yeah, but I enjoy it. So all of that to say that I've had great support. I had one relative, one of my sisters, that said when I told her that I was planning on doing this and possibly moving in, this year of discovery, and she's like, "But what about your kids?" It's like, my kids are grown. One is already living in Spain. One lives in San Diego, and the other one is in Houston. They're all doing quite well. What about my kids? Okay.
And if you were in Dallas, you wouldn't have been in a city that any of them are living in.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
you
So
know, it's just a
there's no,
comfort,
yeah,
right?
there's an
Right?
expectation
Yeah.
that what do you mean you want to go and go someplace else? And what about, again, what about, Mexico is dangerous. I would never go there. It's like, well, I, I'm I'm living in America right now.
Thank
Okay.
you. Hello.
It's
That's
like
what I'm saying.
there is a certain amount of trauma that I just don't even realize that it's like within me right now. Just another
Yeah.
example. The other day, I was coming in, because my daughter lives like in the suburbs of Zaragoza, and they have this nice little flat that they pay like I think it's USD. It's a 3-bedroom flat. They pay like almost $600 a month for.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just beautiful little place. But anyways, I was coming in through the door, getting ready to go to the elevator to come up, and somebody walked up behind me, and I was ready to like turn around and be like, my defense mode came out, and it was just this lady just walking up behind me. But when I came in to tell my daughter what happened, I was like, I have got to brush this Americanized
Mm.
version of me off, where I'm ready to like get defensive and like body slam somebody because they're walking behind me. So
It's a lot, and I
Yeah.
don't think we realize it. I'm about to bring Tadasi up, but someone wants to know. Auntie Trey wants to know do you remember the program that your daughter is
I
working with?
do not, and she was in that program from 2016 to the beginning of 2021. She now has her own business as a virtual assistant, and she's doing wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
If
She's doing
if
great.
you can
Good.
get it, then I can put it in the
Okay,
comments below
okay,
after the fact. So,
sure.
all right. So in between, I'm going to bring T up. We're going to say hello to some folks who are in the audience. And have you had any good paella yet? Do you like
Don't.
paella?
Sorry, are you asking me this?
Yeah.
Yes.
That is offensive. Let me tell you something. They have signs in Madrid. It is like offensive for you to ask for paella because that is not a thing of Madrid. In certain
Oh, is it a
parts, like in
Barcelona?
Sevilla, I don't know
Because
about Barcelona, but like
they
in
do have it in
Sevilla,
Barcelona.
yeah. But yeah, they literally will have a sign out in front because I've done like the food tours. I love going on the different food tours. But they will tell you, like, there are some
We
people that
do not
restaurant
have
owners that
paella.
get so upset. Yeah, they'll have a sign out front saying, "Do not ask for paella." Okay.
Wow.
I don't remember
Yeah.
seeing it. We had it in
I had
Barcelona.
it in Barcelona
Yeah.
because you can get it anywhere and everywhere in Barcelona.
Barcelona. Yeah, but I don't
Yeah, but
remember
it's
seeing
very
it in Madrid as
regional.
I think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay. All right. Well,
Awesome.
so Yolanda's going to hang around if you guys have any more questions about Spain. We're about to bring T up. She lives in Oreias, Portugal. And in between, we're going to say hello to some people. So Adelia is still hanging out in the green room. If you guys have questions about Mexico City or moving with a teenager, we're about to bring someone else who has moved with a teenager and all of that because, moms and women are out here living their best lives and not allowing other folks' expectations to dictate how they live their lives. All right. Hey, T.
Hey, lady.
Can you, either sit up. Yeah, there we go.
There you
Now we
go.
can see you.
I was
So,
relaxing,
there, honey, I understand.
listening to the ladies. Sorry about that.
So you're all good. Karen Louise is saying good morning or good afternoon and happy Mother's Day. Regina's in the house. Meriton's in the house. We got a lot of people. Alexandria, I'm not going to be able to say hello to everyone, but I do want to let you know, because the early birds are the one who show up every single
Yeah.
time, right?
Action VJ. Hey, hey.
And Greta is in the house. Hey, Pinky, thank you. Thank you all for the Mother's Day wishes. Hey, Monica, KB, and Eleanor, Valerina. We've got Meriton. Paula asked some questions. And happy Mother's Day to you all as well. Andrea, Artwork Insight. Yes, I love roses. I do love roses. So Shanta, women are always the nurturers, definitely, and have made the hardest decisions to keep our children safe and happy. However, keeping ourselves happy as well. is so, so important, right? It really is, because like Rick knows, what do I say? If mama ain't happy,
Mommy ain't happy. Ain't nobody gonna
ain't nobody up in this house gonna be happy. For real though. So yeah, Valerina, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to our newest Greta, who is now part of the tribe. Hey, Hugo. Hola, good evening, good evening. My season life.
For a while.
He hasn't been here. Well, he wasn't here last week. He might have been here the week before last.
Hey, Hugo.
Yes, my season life and Rhonda. So hey y'all, we love you. Thank you so much. So T.
Happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Mother's
you.
Day.
And thank you, Dr. Phil, for the super chat. You know what I'm going to say, y'all, because we just had our private group coaching session with our Beyond the Bling students.
Yes.
And I'm not going to get teary on this Mother's Day, but it really was heartwarming to hear how lives have been transformed by the course. And of course, all of this money goes to our scholarship fund. We've given 4 scholarships away so far for this version of the course. So thank you, Dr. Phil. We so appreciate it. And what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, we wanted to say thank you, T, for being on the show.
Yes.
And also, so we're in Oreias. How do you say it? Am I saying that right?
Yes, I think so.
Oh.
I mean, for some reason, we ask at the store, we ask at our boat drivers. Some people say Oreias, like Oreias. It sounds like a W and R. Sometimes we say that and people say Oreias, like how it's actually spelled. So, yeah, I don't know which one is right, but yeah, it sounds good to me.
So what I wanted to say is thank you to Melvin and Drew.
You're very welcome.
For letting us host this
in their home.
In your home.
Kicked them out of their living room.
We kicked her out of the living room. She's in the back room. Because we wanted to hang out and go to the jazz festival and go to the wine tasting festival.
And it was also a restaurant, so gastronomy. I don't know.
Everything's
gastro. Gastro something.
Taste of variety.
Comida.
And we knew we couldn't get back to Lisbon in time to do this, and we wanted to do the Mother's Day thing. So you made it possible. And we thank you so much, you and the family.
Yes,
my
absolutely.
Pleasure. Our
so
pleasure.
Hard decisions that you have to make when choosing to move abroad and choosing you live or especially before homesteading here in Portugal, semi-digital nomad life. Yeah, taking your, I guess at the time, tween son with you.
Yeah. So I think I've been thinking about this. So I think I have ordinary fears of motherhood and, and marriage and all of that, but specifically for my children. So I have supportive children. I have a 28-year-old who is living his life and has an almost 2-year-old who didn't consult me before that 2-year-old either. But Caleb is a cutie pie. But yeah, so, he's kind of living his life. He, with his family, and he's always been supportive. He wasn't interested in coming to Tennessee when we moved there from Chicago just for visits. He didn't want to live there. And so I knew he likely wouldn't, want to be all over the world with us, but I knew he would come for visits. So I didn't have fears in that way that I thought it would negatively impact my relationship with him. And with my youngest, he's had the privilege of just going everywhere that we went all the time. And so I think he saw value. Well, not even value, but I think at first for a child his age, it's fun. It's fun to you know, we were all remote for a while, and then we
Right.
started like dipping our toes. So we did like a month in, or almost a month in Costa Rica. Then we, kind of was like, you know what, we're gonna sell everything end of the year. We're gonna move. We did a year, and I had permission from my boss to be just to work remote. It's global. He wasn't particularly interested, and he would forget that I was gone. And I'll kind of talk a little bit about that later, related to another fear. But with the kids, I think I just have the overall fear of not screwing up my children. I think, like I don't want to
Yeah.
mess them up. I want to, with baggage that we had ancestrally, I don't, and just, so I have all these thoughts, and I had come to terms that the fears that I have are unrelated to moving abroad. Those are just moving abroad can actually make those things better.
Better.
Or moving away from the way people, discipline their kids, or the type of sacrifices they may or may not want to make for their kids, or even you guys have met Drew and spent time with Drew. Like Drew is, he's a cuddler. He doesn't mind doing things with his parents. He doesn't think we're still cool, even though he'll do things by himself. And I've had, like adults in the family that say, well, Drew's real sweet, but he needs to toughen up. So where in some cultures and some places around the world, that you don't have to be tough. You can just be a 13-year-old little boy that likes to do 13-year-old things. But
Yeah.
I think in the US environment, they were trying to protect him, like this lanky little kid, and he seems, sensitive,
That's a
not
good point.
so yeah, so I think, the overall fear of not screwing them up, but to me, and maybe it's because we had started traveling all over the world, it seemed like, okay, if you have these fears of, having to protect your kids or make them tough or have them grow up, and, not just gradually learn responsibility, and in a way to where I think it's not to scale the way 13-year-olds have to be raised, at least some of them in the US. I think they have to take on a lot more. And then when they're 15, we wonder why they think they're grown, because they had to almost be grown. They had to be
Yeah.
responsible. So it seemed like the way that Melvin and I wanted to raise Drew, just being somewhere else in another country, other parts of the world, lended itself better to that. So again, so I didn't have that fear where I thought it was going to be, he would be upset, or he wouldn't like it, or he wouldn't have friends. I had the living somewhere else outside of the US is going to be different.
Right.
I had to embrace that and understand that it could be good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think sometimes we think like, oh, it's going to be different bad. And I just was, so, and I think I had time with myself, and we were kind of over, we were thinking, we had moved from Chicago to Tennessee. We had been in Tennessee for a while. We were all remote. We were considering, we knew Tennessee wasn't our last stop, and we were considering where we would move next. And there was no state that attracted us really. And of the ones that we would consider, we didn't like that for the lifestyle we wanted to live, we had to pay such a significant price for that.
Right.
So, to have a good, not to live in a food desert, or not to, to be able to walk on a promenade, to be able to be in a neighborhood where there's a wine tasting in your neighborhood and things like that. So yeah, we were like, this is not, you shouldn't, it's such a drastic difference between how you live in the US, depending on if you have money or not, or power or not. So we were just kind of considering like, okay, is it another state we wanted to go to? And we just said, we know we really don't. So being afraid of the unknown, we just gotta do it. It's almost, I think we gave ourselves no choice. So I wouldn't even call it bravery. I think we just did it scared. Yeah, I think we just did it scared. So that, yeah.
But you said something that it really struck me. You said, they said that Drew needed to toughen up. To me, what that means is he has to become cynical, fearful, and distrustful. And so everybody is a possible enemy. You know what I mean? Like, and who should want their children to be that way? Yes, we want our children to survive. And unfortunately, we think we don't have a choice. And in America, maybe we don't.
Yeah, and then what does it do? It's like you toughen up, and you learn like life isn't fair, and middle school sucks, and people are gonna be bullies, and there's things kind of ebb and flow. So sometimes the bullies win, or most of the time they win, but that one time you might win. I mean, a lot of it is unnecessary. It is unnecessary for our children to go through that. It's unnecessary for us not to communicate with our kids like they're people. And we pick and choose. And personally, I just feel like as a culture, we pick and choose. It's like, we don't want to baby talk. Like, I'm not, don't baby talk your children, talk to them. And I agree with that. I agree with talking to them so they learn how to talk. They're not, they can enunciate and things like that. But then when it comes to talking to them about like explaining why they did something wrong, or why something may have been inappropriate, or just that we're proud of them and why, and all these different things, then there's this almost you should know, it's almost this like, well, you get good grades, you just get good grades, because you do it because you're supposed to. No one should have to reward you. No one should say that you did a good job, or have to tell you that. You do it anyway. But when you do something wrong, then, and it's not everyone, but I've seen it a lot, where then the child is disciplined and things like that. So I'm like, we can't, I understand wanting to toughen them up, but you will have very resentful adults. And I'm really trying to break the cycle of us not having that multiple generations that can respect and listen to us. And I know that it's like, I know we have history around why we were separated and why things happened, but now I have to try to do something towards it, because I want that. Like, I see other people making, dumplings with their grandmothers, and playing in the park with their kids. And I've had friends from other races where it was tight knit. You talk to your grandmother about different things. I had the blessing to be able to do that, to go and make peach cobbler with my grandmother, or ask her to make dumplings, and so, and get the recipe for the chili and things. But I think it gets lost because we're so kind of no nonsense. So I'm kind of going off on the tangent, but I'm just saying that whole toughness has a lot under it. And when your tough children don't want to come and visit you, then maybe you got to trace it back to its origin. And sometimes as you made them so tough, now they don't care what anybody thinks. They don't care about visiting you. They don't care about something you feel passionate about. I think I want loving boys who know how to love the girls that they date and that they marry, and know how to know that, compromise is sexy, and all of that. And so, I'm not trying to raise, I'm not trying to raise boys in
Who would be
any kind of
misogynist.
particular way. Like, I'm not trying to raise them in any kind of particular way because they're boys. Like,
Right.
You don't want people who can't cry. Like, there's some men, they're like, if I cried, my siblings would say, toughen up, or you're a punk, or you're something. So it's like, yeah, that's one thing I notice here too. I see boys hugging their moms, holding their hands, walking with their
Yes.
grandmothers. You see it all the time. And so yeah, I'll keep, I don't know what they mean by tough. I imagine it's a stark, not communicating, not holding a conversation. I just want to do my teenage stuff or whatever. But I don't want that. So if that's
Chicago
that's what
streets.
tough is, I don't want it.
Dealing with them Chicago streets, sweetheart.
So,
Yeah.
kind of changing a little bit, kind of like the question I asked Adelia. When you went on your nomadic life and you decided that you wanted to take your son and your husband and you wanted to travel to different places throughout the world, what kind of resistance did you receive? What kind of resistance from family or friends did you run into? And did it really matter?
So we didn't receive resistance. I think that we did have family that was concerned for our safety. And I almost feel like from us keeping in touch, like the nomad thing really helped soften them up, because before I just wanted to move out of the US to somewhere else. So I said, I think it's going to be Portugal. But then since we did almost a year of going to different places, they got used to us being in different places, different time zones, keeping in touch, showing them things. Sometimes we would video, sometimes we would just WhatsApp and just share different things. I think they got over that as far as like I said, just thinking we were going to be safe.
Right.
That seemed to be the main thing. If the US has done anything successful, I think it is instilling fear of the rest of the world. Because even in small countries, it's like, it seems like through abroad programs and field trips and things like that, young kids and adults, they're traveling throughout, like Europe, for example, to other countries. But then the United States, since we're just the one country, we travel between states sometimes, but often we only know about a place, depending on your background and how you were raised from television. So I do think it seemed scary. I mean, I'm sure may have been some selfishness, which we all have a little bit of that. And, for some people, why they didn't want us to leave or go or whatever. But I don't think we got a lot of pushback. And it may have been because we moved from Chicago to Tennessee and it was just us. So we did have people to come down, but our theory that the same people that visit us in Chicago because it's big,
Right.
You can live on an hour away from someone, would be the same people to visit us in Tennessee. And we were right. And so we
Okay.
knew moving out of the country, the same people that visit us in Tennessee and Chicago would be the same people that visited us, in Portugal
In
or met
Portugal.
up with us. Like we have friends that met us in Italy. There is I don't know if it's a fear, but it's a unfortunate reality that there are some friends that you're always going to talk to on the phone or you're going to
Mhm.
WhatsApp them, but you will likely not see them in person.
Yeah.
As often as you would like. And most of the time, it's probably going to be when you go back to the US.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. I'm going to bring everyone back on. There's a question in the chat specifically for Adelia. And then, I want to ask everyone about like missing birthday parties, missing funerals, weddings, etc. So, Adelia. Alexandria MD. Since Portugal and Netherlands are basically off your list for second residency, where are you thinking?
Technically, both Portugal and the Netherlands are still on the list. Norway is off the list. But yes, they are a little further down. That's hard. Probably right now, Colombia, possibly Ecuador. I don't know. I just read something today about Paraguay. So I have to do a little bit of digging.
How far down is that?
Pretty far down.
Is it in
far
is,
down.
is it in the southern hemisphere?
Yes,
Okay.
it is near the bottom of South America.
Okay.
And then in Europe, I would consider somebody in Eastern Europe, maybe a former Yugoslav state that is currently EU, but I think what's happening in Ukraine has set a really bad precedent. And so it just does not make sense to make plans to live in some place that was former Soviet bloc or former Soviet Union right now. So yeah, that's who's on the list right now.
T, we're gonna pump up Portugal. We're gonna show her what she missed.
Somebody was in the comments and they suggested some other place they said that did not have hills. So next time I swing through Europe, I will try and check it out.
And we'll meet you there. Yolanda, did you bring your dog?
So right now, my dog is in North Carolina with my sister. I did not, because my dog is a 50-pound boxer. So yeah, I need to make sure that I know where I'm going to be settled at before I bring her anywhere. That's going to be my biggest expense. That's my biggest guilt. Is leaving my baby behind. But I just knew, I know it sounds like I'm talking about a child, but literally I just knew that I needed to do this so that I can figure out where I needed to be, and that would also be, welcoming to my dogs. But right now, no, my dog is in North Carolina. When my goal date to move to here is in April next year, and I'm looking at what it's going to cost because I'm not putting my baby in cargo. So
yeah.
Oh wow, yeah. Adelia, where was your dog when you were here?
She went to the dog sitter here.
Okay.
Because my original plan was to hang out for a month and bring her with me. But if it's like 2 weeks or less, she'll go to the dog sitter.
Okay.
Does she come back with an attitude?
You know what? This last time she came back, when kids have spent the night somewhere and they act like they don't want to come home. That's what she was acting like. And I was in my feelings about it. Because here I am, like, feeling like, because these were new people. This was only my second time using them. And I'm like still trying to get over like, are they treating her right? Blah, blah, blah. And she came home and kind of looked around like, oh, I gotta stay. Yeah.
Our dog would come back with bad habits, and he'd come in, and first things, we don't allow our dog on the couch.
Oh,
Like,
he'd jump up on the couch.
People on the couch, dogs on the floor. We've got all these pillows and everything for you. He'd come up and just, and it's like, and look at me like, what? It's Frisco time.
I'm back.
I'm beyond. Like, are you crazy? You better jump your little brown behind back on that floor. And, you know, all I have to do is put a little bass in my voice, and then he knows what time it is. But yeah, our dog would come back with bad habits. I tell you. So I miss him. That's why we like to dog sit. So Mariah, just send us an email and let us know your situation. We don't need to know the nitty gritty details, but why you want to take the course and what you hope to get out of it. hello@ourblackutopia.com. hello@ourblackutopia.com. Hey, Professor, good to see you in the audience. So we have 3 women who have had to make tough choices. Oh, our Portuguese friends were trying to tell us how both of us are wrong, apparently.
Hey, we'll get it.
Oh, okay.
So, Adelia, I told you milk is Leite. Leite.
Which almost looks like the French.
Right. So
you know what?
I was asking for some milk. I'll let you go in a second. And finally, the guy said, "Do you speak English?"
What's high vibe asking?
Yeah.
How do you travel internationally with the dog? Okay, we'll put that up in a second. Who was going to say something about milk?
No, I wasn't going to say anything about milk. I was going to say there was a fear that I actually forgot about that we shouldn't even have, but I think sometimes we have it. When everything is kind of falling in line, but you want things to go exactly the way that you envisioned them. I wanted to work one more year before I retired. I wanted to retire the end of this year, but I actually resigned. I gave a 2-month notice, but my last day was December 30th last year. And I kind of mulled over it and everything, but I was going through global mobility, and it seemed like they was trying to give me a hard time about the letter that I needed for my visa. And then I'm like, so, my husband's like, look, you just need to decide, do you want to move to Portugal or do you want this job?
Right.
So I really just wanted to, I wanted to go the one more year. You have the plan. It was in my plan. One of my favorite colleagues, I still can't get over this. We keep in touch, and we were the only women in the department. And she texted me. She had a call on a Friday, and she was like, "Why did they close our entire department? Their last day." She said, "Our last day is in 2 weeks, March 30. It's at the end of March, and they're only giving us 4 weeks severance." They had been there. My whole department had been there 15 years, 20 years, 6 years, 7 years. So I wouldn't even been there for this year. Like, I'm like, I'm going to work
about
for
to
a whole
change
year.
your plan.
That's why you have to do what you really have to. I didn't have to work, but I wanted to work for another year. And I don't think we should let these jobs, y'all. I don't think we should let these jobs dictate different things, because they ain't loyal. They're not loyal. And I I was on some leadership calls with a competitor, and we were supposed to be talking about enhancing the website. But the way these calls were going, I'm like, they do what it is we do. And they're talking like as if, I'm like, if we hire them, what would our clients need us for? But it was one guy at my job. He's like, no, it's not gonna. They'll need us to program the system and do blah blah blah. And it just didn't seem like they would need us at all. But I'm
Right.
always skeptical. Black people skeptical about these jobs. And I'm like, I don't think, like he had the luxury to not be skeptical. To me, all kind of red flags went up when they demoed, and I saw their site, and I knew what we did, and we were sort of kind of looking at their portal, but it was talking about not the system enhancements to the portal. It was talking about the actual job, and the portal was kind of like an afterthought. So, but yes, that entire department I was in ended. Um, was it May or was it March? I think 3 months after I moved here.
Okay.
See,
Wow.
you cannot let the heart knows, and when things are falling into place, the universe is
You
trying
just
to
gotta
tell
go.
you,
Yeah.
make that move. And so, Adelia, what do you tell people who think, if they've done the math, but they're still like, I don't know. What if I run out of money? I don't know.
You sound like your mother.
Oh.
And it took, I'm not gonna say like my mindset was always here, but the worst case scenario is I have to get a job. Like that is the worst case scenario. For the last 3-4 years, I have really been out here living my best life, doing whatever it is that I want to do when I want to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
And so what if all I got was 4 years? Like something happens and all the money goes away. I had those 4 years. I can go
Yes.
work at Starbucks because I got to live that life versus putting my life on hold on the hope that I will get to do those things. Because again, y'all, we don't know how much time we have. One of my
And we're
biggest
so overly degreed. It's like, we get degrees after degrees and certificates after certificates and all these letters and everything. At this point, if we have to get another job, we just get another job. There
you get
are
another job.
agencies where all the degrees you could be anywhere in the world, and you take your resume to an agency. They'll find you a job in the place that you are, or worst case scenario, another country or something. Like
Mhm.
our worst case scenario is never the what it you know it's never I don't know if it's a spoil thing, but it's not a worst case scenario. It's like it's not homelessness, or
Right.
even if it is homelessness, it's like, really, or is it just that uncle you don't want to live with? Like, do you really have to be on the
Exactly.
street? Like, where some people, their homelessness, their worst case scenario really is the homelessness. That's not you if you got 12 family members with apartments and houses and different things. So yeah, I
It
I
might be
I get you. I
uncomfortable.
wasn't always there
Right.
too. I didn't always, I I believe the numbers, but I always believe that we have to like double everything. I'm like, they'll find a way. They'll find, so,
Yeah.
but yeah, I had to get out of that because like Adelia said, that's a wonderful 4 years that you could have delayed and not done
And never saw.
been the blessing to people that you have been. Just the communication. A lot of people that branched out, now they're communicating with others, and people need to hear it.
Yeah.
That's right. I want Adelia to
So,
finish what she was going to
I'm sorry,
say
go
in a
I
ahead.
was going
second.
to say one of my biggest pet peeves is people talk and they say things like, well, if God forbid something happens to me, something will happen to you.
Yeah.
Literally
Guaranteed.
a matter of time. So I guess I look at it like if this was anything else, if we weren't talking about my life, we were talking about a job or something else, and it was like, hey, this is going to come to an end, but you don't know when. I would be trying to maximize the time I had
Mhm.
doing whatever that thing was if I knew the contract was going to end at some point. So I just applied that to my regular life. So, like I said,
Yeah.
worst case scenario, I have to get another job. And I think one of the good things that American society is good at, you mentioned this, T, about fear. It is also this fear of losing your spot. Like, I could leave the job I have, but then if I come back, I won't be in the same spot. I won't have the same job. I might not have the same parking spot, like
Right.
whatever these little extras
Perks.
are.
Hmm.
And it's like, that doesn't even matter. It really
Nope.
doesn't in the grand scheme of things, because the time to live free and embrace the things I want, to me, that's more valuable than being able to come back and I've got the classroom on the corner with the big window.
Right. Right.
Right.
Is that what teachers trip on?
Right.
it it is so true. It is so true. Yolanda, you were gonna say.
So just kind of piggybacking on some of the things I've talked about. My mother passed away in I'm sorry, 2022, in February, January 2022, and she was of that mindset. You just work, and she literally almost worked until the day that they were like, "You've got to sit down." And so when she passed away, but it was something that spoke to me that I don't want to live like that. I realized I was picking up on some traits that have been handed down to us generation about, you just work, be the martyr, be there for everybody else, prove your worthiness by being not thinking about yourself. What are you doing for other people? And so to put all that and stop and say, you know what, I'm going to be selfish and think of me, um, and what are my needs. It was amazing for me after not knowing that I was going to leave that job that I thought I was going to take with me. Just didn't know, and still going away to Spain for that month back in October to November. It was so hard and so scary, and my daughters were on my case all the time because I was constantly on LinkedIn, like, what else do I need to possibly find? I was okay. I was okay financially. I was like, you're okay for a while. I mean, as long as I wasn't about to go out and, like travel the entire world or, go to Vegas or something.
Or
But
buy that Tesla.
thank you. Right.
Yeah.
But I was okay. And my daughters like almost had to like slap my hand to get me to stop, to get off the laptop looking just to see. And at one point while I was on leave, because I did it so gracefully, that the HR had reached out to me because there were some processes and some files that they didn't know where they were, and so my direct manager actually reached out to HR because he couldn't contact me, and said, we need to find these files. And I said to her, if I was in the hospital right now unconscious, what would you do? Why are you contacting me? There's a reason why I actually went on FMLA so suddenly. I understand that, my knowledge is great, but had he actually been paying attention, I didn't say all of this. I'm going to paraphrase it. I did say, had he actually been paying attention to some of our meetings, he would know exactly where those files are.
Mm.
Yeah.
And after that, they didn't make that contact me again.
He didn't have to pay attention because you were always going to be there.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
How do you travel internationally with a dog?
Yeah.
Who
Did
wants
we
to?
ask that question?
I don't
No,
think so.
y'all.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, I have. It really, you got to figure out, there's two things. There are the country's requirements and there are your airline's requirements,
Yes.
or whatever the method is you're using to get your animal there. I was wondering, Yolanda, had you considered what is it? Is it the Queen Mary? There's a ship that
Yeah.
goes between the US, it crosses the Atlantic, and they accept pets,
Okay.
as opposed to like booking somebody who does just animal transport. That way y'all could go together and your baby
Okay. I don't know if you
would
want to
not
see
have
me
to
on the
be
ship, but we'll see.
okay.
We'll see
But
about
yeah,
that.
it's whatever the country's requirements are. And I would say, like, if you're trying to go to a country that's an island, you need to factor in quarantine, which you will probably have to pay for out of pocket. Um, but then there also could be the airlines requirements, which may be different. So for example, here in Mexico, the airlines have more requirements than the country of Mexico does. I have to get a health certificate every time Mia flies with me. Mexico does not care. They're like, does she have a rabies vaccine? Has she been treated for parasites? But all of the airlines want much more paperwork than that.
Okay. Well, thank you for that
Interesting.
information, because that's something that I definitely have to look into, because she's coming one way or another. So yeah, as long as it's not cargo. Yeah.
Adelia, do you think Mexico City is your forever place? And if so, do you see yourself ever buying property there to live permanently?
It is going forever place. There is a very strong possibility, but there's this version of my life in my head that has me splitting my time between two places.
Okay.
One of those places being Mexico City. Would I buy property? No, for many reasons, but the biggest one is I am 48. I have no idea what my life expectancy is, but I'm going to say I got a good 25, 30 years left. My children are not going to do what is necessary to do to claim any property I have outside the US. So if I put money toward that, I go into it knowing that that's just for naught, because they can know all they want, that, oh, mom has a condo in Mexico City, but neither one of them are going to come down here and jump through the hoops in order to get it in their name or to sell it. So that's the main reason I won't, because at this point I'm thinking about things in terms of, what am I going to use? What resources I'm going to use to live the life I want, and what resources I'm leaving them.
That's a good point, because we all think, yeah, I want to leave all this stuff to my kids and this and that. Do they want it? Do they even want it?
Do they want it? Like
don't think
Adelia
they
said,
want it.
like Adelia said, do they even want to take the time and put the energy and the effort into doing it?
Some of our
Because that's
kids,
something separately they have to learn.
yeah, exactly. Some of our kids are so busy, they don't have time to learn how to not be busy.
Right.
Did the people who are trying to give you a hard time for living the USA, leaving the USA is probably what Greta meant. Are they now eating their words? So we don't like to gloat, Greta. Come on now. But do they? Are they eating their words?
Some may, I think, quietly to themselves, but then some of them just.
Have you heard anything from the boys' gossip?
No, not really.
Okay.
Not really. I mean, some people are just.
Some people are just haters.
They're going to hate what you do, and
some people are just haters.
Try to make you feel crazy, or why would you want to
ever
do that?
Want to live?
Especially, that's why I was asking T about it, because the first thing somebody wants to do is tell you how to raise your kid, or where you shouldn't be taking your kid, or how you should. What are you thinking?
Yeah. No, I got a lot. I had a lot of people, actually, Black men, just couples we know who are married, and they're like, that's really great for Drew, that it's something I want to do. I actually think, like I said, I don't know, maybe people said whatever they were going to say. I try not to have those type of conversations anyway, where it's a debate. It's everybody's own personal decision, but I'm sure there were some thoughts. We've noticed lately people who we never thought would move anywhere, like, I need to come and check it out, or, oh yeah, I'm going down to Mexico for blah, blah, blah. People who are like, before, when we were going to Mexico, like, did you pack your gun? And it's like,
what about the cartel?
When we come to your house, like, when we come to your house, we don't pack our guns, so we don't need it in Mexico either.
Exactly.
You're not in the safest place.
Exactly.
But we have noticed like a little, so maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Maybe that's people, eating their words or changing their mind, or maybe they're just, finding people online or seeing that we're everywhere, because I'm sure there's some fear, because people talk about travel and moving places, and I don't think it's difficult when you set your mind to do it and you know, kind of put one foot in front of the other. But with all the social media and things like that, like just like people have that 15-second attention spans, that's how they are with moving abroad. Some
Right,
people
Yeah.
are like,
right.
they're like, you know, if it's not going to happen, and you know, if I have to do something and figure something out, you know, they may never leave. If I got to renew my
Exactly.
passport, or you
Yeah.
know, go down to some, you know, get something and get fingerprints or whatever. You know, that I think that might
Too
stop
big of a
people
hoop.
more than some of the means or other things that, you know, they just don't they don't feel that they have to do it. There's not any fear. It's like it's okay, and you
Right,
know, maybe they
right.
don't have a problem, so that's why they're not
They'll
you know,
see.
they don't take the steps
See.
to move forward. But we've had several people talk about it, been talking about it for a long time, and
And they ain't done nothing.
they haven't pulled the trigger yet. We have some close friends that they're nearing pulling the trigger. They're almost there, but we've had other people kind of talk about even moving to other states, and they don't go.
I have a family member that was hating when I moved from California to Colorado, and they said, um, "You're making the mistake of a lifetime."
Oh wow.
Wow.
Moving a state? That's a mistake of a
And
lifetime.
right, but then when they found out that, you know, the governor knew me and had me on his transition team, and you know, the mayor knew me and this and that, and then all of a sudden it was a little bit eaten words, right? So I'm sure that same family member probably had something to say about us moving here,
They're projecting.
especially, right? Yeah, exactly. But Yolanda, you were going to say.
Oh, okay. What was I gonna say?
We're talking about people eating their words, and then
Oh, oh
we
yeah.
are definitely going to wrap up. And after Yolanda
Okay.
makes her statement, each of you, I would love to hear what you would tell that woman who feels like she owes someone else something, or she, you know, she just can't leave because all of these people are depending upon her. Maybe her husband wants to leave, or her partner wants to leave, her wife wants to leave, but so, all right, Yolanda.
I was just going to say, so again, for the most part, I have had wonderfully supportive people. Um, the ins and out details, I don't really, I have the Exodus Summit, I have these specific groups. But like my daughters, my sisters, and I have my life sisters, what I call them, that are just wonderfully supportive, and just, they're like, wherever you are, just let us know, because you know we come in to visit you. May not move there, but coming to
Right,
visit.
Right.
right,
Um,
right, right.
I've also had a couple of, none of my single friends are actually looking to do it, but I have a couple of friends that are couples that are really interested in possibly, transitioning into discovering someplace else to live outside of the U.S. And I've actually referred them, the couples refer them to you guys and H&D Abroad, but just to
Hey,
help
thank
give
you.
some insight. Yeah. But I think that like one of them is definitely, I think his wife wanted to go like a long time ago, and it's just him kind of holding up because he has business in Dallas. So
Okay.
yeah, that's what's holding him back. But overall, if anybody has anything negative, they're not gonna negative to say. They're not gonna say it to my face. Or they're just
Right.
not.
That's the thing. What will happen is, so they'll say it to somebody who is a close friend of yours, right? And then that's how
Mhm.
you'll hear about it. Because most people,
Yeah.
they don't. Adelia's video from Portugal really hit home for me. It was so powerful because you could hear the seriousness and support she projected. So that's not a question. That's a comment that Kate Renee wanted to make. So I'm sure she appreciates that. Some 70% of companies no longer offer pensions anymore. So what is
What's
holding
holding
people
people?
at these jobs for eons? You're absolutely
Mhm.
right. Pension, unless you work for the government,
I'm not getting a
GUBMENT,
pension.
you're not getting a pension. And if you're in a red state, they're trying to privatize that stuff. So you might think you're getting a pension and it might go away. I hate to say that. I don't wish that upon anyone, but that is a reality. Yolanda, how has it been learning Spanish? And we're going to do a dating show. I already thought when she was talking about the dating, I was like, okay, so I got Twana, who's bigger than life. I got Yolanda, I'm going to call on to talk about these
I'm here.
men's,
Bring it.
these
Baby.
men's.
That's gonna be an all sisters show. Okay?
Oh, is that what that's going to be?
Yeah.
Because the brothers, so we had at least 2 single males of a certain age asking us about the dating scene here in Lisbon. Why are you asking us?
I don't know. If Action VJ asked me to do a dating thing for men, I might consider doing that.
Yeah.
Him and Chris.
Okay.
Well, Chris got a girlfriend.
Okay.
I take that back, Chris.
So we've had over 200 people watching today, which I think is phenomenal. I did not expect that for Mother's Day.
No, we didn't.
Please hit the like button if you find this information helpful, uplifting, interesting. Please hit that like button so that YouTube can make sure that other people get to see it. Adelia is right. Dogs or cats can cruise transatlantic. Okay.
Keep that in
I don't
mind.
know what Cunard's Kennel.
Cunard's Kennels.
I don't know. I think I could do the cruise if I knew that there was an endpoint, but the whole transatlantic kind of makes me nervous, and that's my own fear. Okay, I just want to make sure we're not forgetting any other. Oh, that was weird. Did you see that?
Yep.
Please get name of school from Yolanda. Oh yeah, we're gonna get that.
So I will have to provide that later because when I went off for a little while, I went to go ask my daughter, and it's like 10:30, almost 11 o'clock, and they're gone to bed because they have to go to work and all that stuff. So I will get that and share
You're
it.
an hour ahead of us.
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock right now. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I think she may have answered. Hold on just a second. She may have no, that wasn't her. My bad. Okay.
Hey, Krishan, happy Mother's Day to you too.
I did want to also just say really fast that regarding the language thing. So my granddaughter is well, of course, she's growing up in Spain, so she speaks Spanish. My goal is to learn Spanish. Now, I've taken an actual class. I was taking a class where I would have to get up when I went back to the U.S. I was like, I got to learn Spanish because I'm gonna have a Spanish-speaking granddaughter. So there was this course that was directly out of Zaragoza, and I would get up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to take this class. I eventually had to stop taking the class just because of I was working like crazy hours anyways. All that to say, some things I'm just picking up on being in Spain. They're very gracious. I've only gotten a look a few times from somebody that's like, stupid Americans, you can't speak Spanish. But overall, if you put the effort in, and many people have heard this, if you put the effort in, or just to even say in Spanish, like, I don't really understand Spanish, right, they will work with you, miming and, all that, and Google Translate works wonders. But I don't want to rely on that. Eventually, I would like to be fully fluent in Spanish so I can really just hang with my, granddaughter on the deep, but she's going to be bilingual anyways. So
that will definitely help because like I can speak to 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds in Spanish all day long.
Yeah, me too.
It's the adults. Now, I know Adelia is a lot more fluent than she says she is because you don't take Spanish for 7 years, live in Spanish-speaking countries for a good portion of that time. I think she's being modest. That's what I think.
I don't know.
That's what I think. So, yeah.
I get the job done.
Well, that's the thing. So even here, so we did get, I'm going to say this and then we're going to get to this last statement that we're going to talk to women. But so this guy was messing around and went out at the same time I did, and the alarm went off in the store. So he went back in to talk to the lady. So the cop comes to me and says, let me see in your bag. So I'm showing him, he doesn't speak any English. So I guess he heard my Portugal and said, and asked me, do I speak Spanish? And I had the audacity, Adelia, to say, yes, I do. Oh, by yes, I do. And so we started communicating in Spanish, and I was trying to tell him, look, I bought this stuff at the other Pingo Dos. It's gum. Are you really tripping over this gum? Like, I'm not stealing no gum and losing my residency over some gum. But, and the lady
that worked in the store,
right, she was like that to the cop. And he was being very nice about it. He was like, I'm sorry, but the alarm went off. And he's saying this in Spanish. And I'm explaining to him that, I bought it before. I could say that. And, whoop-de-woo. And I did say I would not jeopardize. I didn't say that. But I think I said cause trouble for my visa. So eventually worked it out. But I was like, see, sweetie?
She thinks cats understand her when she says meow.
They do understand when I say meow because they turn their head.
Never mind.
And they at least what they say.
Just get on with the last portion of this.
Oh my gosh.
They do. They turn around just like the cat was cat sitting. They were scared. I said meow. The two Siamese, they came in. They ran past me, but they're like, okay, she's trying to communicate. I don't know what the heck she's saying.
They said, just
believe you.
Speak human.
Just speak human. Leave our language to us.
I said, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Cats respond to me. He's just jealous. That's what that is. Okay, so we're gonna go round robin. We're gonna start with Adelia, Yolanda, T. What would you like women to know before we let them go? To give them some courage, some inspiration, some words of wisdom about doing this thing.
It is okay to choose yourself. I had a guest on the podcast. We all know the saying that you can't pour from an empty cup. That's really only part of it. And I didn't know it until this guest told me that you're really supposed to pour from the overflow that is in the saucer. You're not supposed to be pouring from your cup at all. So if you are in a situation where you don't have to play the martyr. You are supposed to take care of you, because who else is going to do that? I think more women need to hear someone say that to them in order for them to feel okay in doing it. And so I'm here to do that. I'm always going to tell you to pick yourself.
I love it. I love it. Yolanda?
Walk through your fear. Walk through it. Even with it, just sometimes you just have to go through it to get to it. You have to go through it to get to the other side. Will it be easy? Will it be simple? Will it just be like done, done, done? No, but still go through it to get to it. Yes. Yes. And I know one of the other things that maybe we didn't get to touch on was missing family and friends, like for holidays and birthdays and sick. So I have a younger relative that has sickle cell and has been going through some trying times. And I was talking to her mother before I left, and I was like, I feel kind of bad, even being gone for 2 months, because I know that you're going through so much right now. And she was like, we have FaceTime, we have WhatsApp. She's like, whatever. She's like, you need to go ahead and do your life and live your life, and not just wait around for something to happen that may not happen for who knows when.
Right.
And seeing this young person who's actually doing quite well right now, but yeah, you don't just hold on to putting your life on hold for fear of, I'm going to miss this birthday. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make my sister's 50th birthday cruise, and I'm upset about that. But also, she understands I plan on being in Mexico for 4 to 6 months. Come on down there. So yeah,
there you go.
That's okay.
Take a cruise to Mexico. T.
The lady said it great, but yeah, the only thing I would add is just, I think when you're living your life honestly and unapologetically, like, people see it. So when you're WhatsApping them, or when you talk to them, when they need advice, maybe even when they're complaining, and you you are able to just, help them take a step back and look on the bright side or the positive side or whatever. I think you just give so, like, people who love you love to see you happy, and they can tell. And you give so much more. You don't go down, like, I find it's impossible for me because I like my life. I've liked it for a while. I just, I think after your 20s, you just got to like your life. So I like the people I'm around. I like the man I'm married to. I like my children. I like, so and people I don't like, I try to spend at least amount of time with them as possible. They're not people who call me, so I don't have to frown at the phone when I get the call. So I think just doing what you want to do as it relates to traveling. If moving abroad is for you, do that, because it's going to make you so much happier and you can give. You're not being one of those people who kind of wallows all the time, or you don't have the strength to listen or be positive, or just feed into someone. Adelia said, she'll do it all the time. She'll tell you always to pick you. Yeah, because she's picking her. So she's like, I'm gonna always tell you to pick you, because like when you're getting the advice from somebody who is picking themselves, then they're not gonna be like, yeah, you're right, you should wait, this amount of time, or yeah, hold on to that job, because their 401k match is 9% or whatever. You're not going to get that. You're going to get, they know what it feels like. So you get that. You get the benefits and the blessings. So you'll be a benefit and such a blessing to the people in your life. And you'll
That's the
miss
thing.
them, but you'll have, I think, a stronger connection with your really true, close, loving, friends and family.
Yeah.
I'm going to add to that the best thing that we can do is show folks how to live a life that makes them happy. And we have to, we can't teach someone how to do something that we don't know how to do.
Yep.
Right?
That's good.
So, and I say this with women who are trying to stay in a relationship that doesn't serve them. And it's like, if that's what you want your daughters to see, that's what you want your sons to see? Or do you want them to see that, if someone is not respectful and all of that, then it's time to go. Time to go, right? And then I'm going to leave you with this. There was a quote from a movie that I don't like, but I love the quote. And and a man was in it that I will never see one of his movies ever again. But he said, fear is imagining a future that does not yet exist and may never exist. And I think that's interesting because we make up all of this what if stuff in our head that may never, ever, ever come to pass.
Right.
And we operate accordingly. So yeah, shoot. It was kind of, when at first when I brought this up, you were like, well, we just got to do what we got to do. And I'm like, well, Adelia said I don't. And so I ain't. So how about that? And I said, here are the numbers.
And I said, okay. I'm with you.
Smart man.
Good husband. I did it right. He's not my first, and I'm not his first. We had to do it wrong before we can do it right. So maybe that will give hope to someone who wants more than just somebody to bring them tacos. I understand that too, because it took me a while. I was like, I ain't never getting married again. I remember that stage too. So we love you all. Thank you, ladies, so much for spending your Mother's Day with us. Thank you. We so appreciate it.
You're so welcome.
Yes, we love you all so much. Every single one of you has sown into our lives in some measure. And everyone who is in the audience, who's in the chat, loving it and wishing us well and all of that. We love you guys. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Mother's Day, and we'll see y'all next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye, y'all.